Do you have a baggage that is weighing you down? Are you carrying around too much stress and anxiety? Do you have self-doubts and you worry about small things? Are your inner criticisms and negative thoughts affect your decision making? If the answer is yes, then this podcast episode is just right for you. Welcome to Mom Buns and Dad Puns, the baggage counter.
You are listening to episode 3 of Mom Buns and Dad Puns, and today we are going to reveal what's in our bags literally and figuratively. And speaking of bags, what's literally inside your bag on a daily basis?
What I normally bring to work is a messenger bag, a typical bag, wherein I put an extra shirt because you know me, I'm sweaty, I sweat a lot, so I do need to have an extra shirt that I bring in the office. Second is, of course, the wallet. It's important you have your wallet with you because, of course, it contains your identification, your money, your budget throughout the day. These, I need them. I need them when I drive. I need them whenever I need to open the gate or open the door without asking anyone. And then I also put alcohol. That's important because you need to sanitize every now and then. I also have a cologne that I'm using, and ID. Those are just the normal stuff I bring whenever I go to work. So how about you? What's inside your bag?
What's funny is that I don't bring a very big bag, but it's usually packed with a lot of things.
I noticed. Yeah.
I have my wallet. Of course, I have keys as well. I have cologne, sanitizer. I have Lysol spray. I have my throat medicine. I also have a ball pen, my ID, and masks.
Well, speaking of sanitary items, I've noticed that you have quite a lot, and it's quite redundant. You have alcohol, you have Lysol spray, you already have hand wipes.
Yeah.
Why all that stuff? Why bring all those out?
It's because I wanted to be prepared. Let's say we are going to grocery stores. I also want to put alcohol every now and then.
Don't you find that redundant? Like you already have alcohol that can actually kill the germs, and you have another spray, Lysol spray that you use.
No.
Don't you find that too excessive?
No, because I just want to be prepared.
Yeah, but I think that's too much already because you have alcohol and wipes. I think that's enough.
Yeah.
I normally just have alcohol. I unlike you, I'm actually
But you're asking
a minimalist when it
Well,
comes
but
to
you're
carrying.
asking for Lysol anyway when we go to grocery stores.
Yeah, because
when
you
you wipe-
have it available. If we don't have it available, I'm just gonna use alcohol anyway. So
Well, it's handy. So I wanted to have a lot of things inside my bag. I wanted to be prepared. If we are commuting right now, I would
I
add
wouldn't
up.
commute.
I would add up.
I wouldn't commute.
Right.
So, yeah.
But back in pre-COVID, I would still have a lot of things there. I would have slippers.
Yeah.
I also would have an umbrella in my bag. But now those two things are gone.
Well, we're still on topic on bags. How about when going on trips? What are your normal carry-ons?
Well, we already have an idea on what I bring on a daily basis. Imagine what more I can bring if we are on a trip. And I pack not just only for me, I pack for you, I pack for our son.
I've been mentioning this to you, and I've been telling you to try and pack light, correct? Because just pack
Yeah,
the
I know.
necessities. Some items that I find whenever you're packing things that they're redundant.
Why?
Yeah, some things you don't need.
Like what?
I don't know who brings a
What?
mosquito killer in
What?
another place.
It's mosquito killer.
Yeah, the lamp. And who brings UV lamp in a trip, right? So some things I just find excessive whenever you pack things, but it's actually good because we're
But
different
it
in some ways. Because whenever I pack my bags, right, it's
Mhm.
important just to have more t-shirts than underwear.
Right.
Because I sweat a lot, and you know me, I use like two t-shirts, three
Mm.
t-shirts in a day. So whenever I pack, it's different. I would normally pack shirts, then underwear, and just a couple
But
of
that's a lie
shorts.
because I pack all of your things.
Yeah, but
When you do,
when you do,
yeah.
and when I do, and you most certainly will check
Mm.
whatever things I'll be having on my bag, on our bag.
That's also a lie. You're not checking it.
Well, whenever I do, okay,
Whenever you do, yeah.
whenever I do, and
Okay, let's
plus
just say hypothetically.
I find it excessive that you are using a luggage instead of
But
just a carry-on
okay,
bag.
to clarify, inside that luggage are your things and my things combined,
But
and our toiletries and our
yeah, and you do have a separate bag for our son, so
yeah, I have a
that's
separate
too much.
luggage for our son.
Why do you think you need to bring all those?
I don't know. I just wanted to be prepared that anything that might happen. Let's say, I don't know. I'm just like that. And I can't
It's
help
okay.
it.
I'm not judging you. I'm just asking, and I would just like to share what what are the
Yeah.
things that you're normally bringing whenever we go out.
Oh,
And you know me, I'm always the one who's telling you to just pack light
right. That's me packing light.
because that's too much, and I'm feeling sorry for those who will be carrying the stuff or the item.
Right.
But that's okay if that's your way on being prepared, and I do support. I have my reservations, but I do support.
Mm.
We go figuratively this time around.
Okay.
So, growing up, we do acquire several baggages. Well, more on emotional baggages as we live on with our
Mhm.
lives, right? So, we narrow it down with the top five criminals we have in mind. Well, more on, yeah, as I mentioned, more on emotional baggage. So, number five, worry. So, this is more into we do worry on a
Mhm.
daily basis. Like for example, on work, what do we have for lunch? What would be doing for the rest of the day? So we do have worries and anxieties that we need to deal
Mhm.
with. So
Mhm.
for you, what's your worry?
Right. So our
Warrior, not
worry,
a warrior.
yeah, worrier, not a war. Sometimes I suffer from disturbing thoughts that I have in mind. I worry about what's going to happen next in our lives, what's going to happen to our son. I worry about our work. Sometimes we trap ourselves into that situation. You know, we cause ourselves those anxiety.
Well, we actually differ in some ways. I do worry, but not a lot. You know me. I'm more of a forward thinker when it comes to things. Because I believe worrying too much doesn't really make you focus on the things that you need to be prepared for. So it's more of a trigger warning to make you do something before
Mm.
it happens, right?
Number four, self doubt. We tend to be uncertain with what we can do, and we question our talent or our skills. whenever we go through new challenges in life, right? And we are always concerned that we're not good enough. So we are filled with confusion and hesitation.
I actually look at this at a positive light because it's good to have a certain level of self doubt because it challenges you, right?
Mhm.
For example, you are doubtful on the things or how you'll be doing things, and you'll have an opportunity to think of different ways on how to approach it, right? Well, it's a positive pusher for you to do things differently because I believe there are certain approach wherein you can reach the same goal but you'll differ in the way you'll approach it. For example, for challenges, your work, how would you efficiently do work despite the challenge or despite being away from your team members or being away from your teammates. So there's always opportunity for you to challenge the way you approach things. So yeah, that's how
Good point.
that's how I look at it. But regardless, yeah, self doubt. This is something that we grow up with. We talked last time. Um, what are the things that we ask ourselves growing up? What do we really want to be? And at one point in your life, you're going to ask. In a way, that's your self doubt. You're going to ask, "Is this something I really like to do?"
Mhm.
Right?
Right.
Until you actually do it. So
Mhm.
been good so far. So meaning you were able to overcome that doubt and
Mhm.
approach it differently.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, number three, of course, we do have the idea of perfectionism.
Mhm.
So more of being a control freak in whatever you'll be doing or whatever um, you want to be in control of. But sometimes it's contradictive. There are things that you cannot control, right?
Right. I think it's also me being very competitive. I'm
Mhm.
competitive when it comes to, well, almost everything.
Mm.
And
Like this podcast.
yeah, like this podcast. I'm very competitive, so uh, sometimes it affects our job every day. Obviously, sometimes I'm being too much because I want everything to be perfect, and sometimes I'm just getting burnt out, and I'm not even realizing that affects me also in a negative way.
Well, I would say just don't take things too
Mm-hmm.
personally. Some
Mm-hmm.
things you can control,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't have to punish yourself for not having control 100% of the time. Well, in a way, it's finding those perfections and little imperfections, right? Okay, moving on to number two. Too much complaining. Well,
Right.
it's easier to play the blame game
Mm-hmm.
instead of admitting,
Mm-hmm.
and you use someone or another instance as an excuse to absolve yourself from from something to avoid taking responsibilities or taking accountability. That's why we complain.
Mm-hmm.
We we find another channel wherein we can put that blame on that certain topic to avoid being criticized over it. So for example, you are not happy with how things are being done in your work or even here at home.
Mm-hmm.
Would there be a way to turn it around and do it as a suggestion?
No, don't get me wrong. Whenever I complain, it's just in my head. You know,
Mhm.
I don't say it out loud.
Yeah.
It's just in my head. So what I do, for example, when I'm at work, what I do, I complain in my head, and then I reflect on things
Mhm.
before I say it.
So
Before
in a
I
way,
say
you're
it,
revising it already.
yes, I'm
Okay.
turning that negative thought into a positive light, and
Okay.
whenever I
All
talk
right.
to people,
Okay.
but this, that's why it's called criminals, top 5 criminals we have in mind. So it's just in
Mhm.
my head.
Okay. I think
Always.
I think that's a good approach.
Mm.
Because you are able to think it through before telling it to others, and
Mhm.
you are being considerate.
I turned that negative thought
Mhm.
into a more positive approach.
And last, we go to our top item, which
Mhm.
is overthinking. So this is something that we all do. So we assume the worst things
Mhm.
will happen to us. So I'm not an overthinker.
Mhm.
I do take things as they happen.
Mhm.
I'm not the type of person who prepares for things. I take them as they are. So in a way, my the things that I just overthink would be something that's long term. For example, um, how can we save for the business that we like? Um, what are the things that we can invest on, not just for ourselves but for our son? What are good investments in general? So for you, what makes you overthink?
I always think of the worst that can happen. Life is more complex. I am not only thinking about myself, I'm thinking about our family, I'm thinking about our kid. Sometimes, overthinking and thinking of the worst thing that might happen doesn't help me anymore. Because it's too complex, it's too complicated, and the worst things that might happen really scare me a lot. And we tend to take things for granted, and we just conclude on something that something bad will happen.
Well, overthinking does help you in a way. Well, personally, because it helps you prepare for the
Yeah,
worst.
yeah, that's what I'm doing.
You tend to make a list
Mm,
of some steps that you need to do to overcome those things that you overthink about. So in a way, it does help, and it
but not too
allows you to
much.
prepare, but not too
Not too
much
much.
because it overcrowds your judgment as
Right.
well. So
Mm,
you overthink of too much ways on how to approach things, right?
right.
So for example, we get sick. You overthink that it's probably COVID.
Yeah.
We coughed a little, or we sneeze a little, and then you
Yeah.
find it that it's the virus already. So
Mm,
I think that's too much already, and it becomes being pessimistic
mm.
if you overthink too much. So closing this podcast, what are your takeaways?
As we grow older, we tend to have a very complex life. And because we have a complex life, we carry a lot of baggages. And I think because of that, we are imprisoned with the negative thoughts that we have. And we feel like there's no way out. But, in my opinion, a little fear is okay to keep you going, to, go out of your comfort zone and to have more solutions than problems.
And I agree. You mentioned about acquiring baggages as we go on, right?
Mm.
But I believe not all would be negative. There are positive baggages that you acquire
Lessons in
along the way.
life,
Yeah,
yeah.
called lessons
Mm-hmm.
and a good experience, right?
Right.
So I would suggest just keep on carrying those positive baggages as you go along, because those negative baggages you acquired, um, you'll learn to let those go as time goes by, and you'll really learn just to keep the positive ones with you.
Right. You need to live your life and, learn from the mistakes
Yep, I
that happen.
agree. I agree.
Right.
So yeah. And that's it for episode 3 of Mom Buns and Dad Puns. We hope you've learned something from this episode. To join in our conversations, follow us on Instagram at Mom Buns and Dad Puns. Like us on Facebook, and please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you for listening, and see you on the next one.
Could you be the one?